Hey everyone, Pete from London Camera Exchange. You join me here today with Mehdia. Mehdia, thanks for joining us. You've come all the way down from Canon to show us this, the brand new RF 100-300 F2.8 L IS USM lens.
Perfect.
Got it right.
So today, as hopefully everyone will see online, we introduced this brand new and exciting lens. It is another, I would call it a statement lens for us, an RF 100-300. As you said, it is an F2.8. It is L series, as you can tell from the colour of the lens, plus the red ring. And then it does have Image Stabiliser, and then the USM motors that now we're used to for that fast autofocus. So you can see I'm actually holding it on the R3. It's not that heavy, slightly heavier than the 300-2.8, for example, but because of the design of it is more balanced, right. So it actually doesn't, you don't feel the weight, and it does give you that flexibility rather than just having a 300-2.8 or a 200-2.8. This is 100-300, and you are getting the benefit of that bright lens throughout the zoom range.
Focal range, we've obviously not seen this in the EF series of lenses. We've got a crossover with some of the L series though. So image quality and actual performance of the lens, is that similar, better? Where are we at there?
So you're correct there with the focal length. It's not something we have in the EF range, but what we've done is we've taken two very popular lenses, especially the EF 300 2.8. Yeah. Very popular because it's great quality, bright lens, 2.8, but still small and lightweight. Loads of sports photographers, for example, use it handheld, and combined it with that flexibility from the EF 200 to 400. Right. Again, everyone loves the flexibility you get with that lens. And the end result is actually the 100-300. Optically, this is better than the 300 2.8. Okay. So it is basically the quality of a prime with the flexibility of the zoom. Nice. Similar statement that we said about the 28-70, for example, which was another statement lens, grey f2. This is, you can pretty much say the same thing about this 100-300.
And can you use things like teleconverters on this or extenders?
So this will work with both the RF 1.4 extender and the 2x extender. Nice. So as it is, it's 100-300 2.8. With the 1.4 extender, you're looking at 140-420 at 4, or 200-600 if you were to put the 2x extender at 5.6, which all the focal lengths are usable. I mean, with the 2x extender, it actually opens up the use of this lens for wildlife, for example, and especially if you were to combine that with the R7, because that would push it up to about 960mm.
Oh wow! Yeah. Being built for wildlife potentially or sports photography, it's going to be used. You could use it on a tripod or a monopod, I'm guessing, but handheld use as well. I can't quite see, but it looks like you've also got stabilization on the side there. You can switch on and off. So what sort of stabilization are we looking at?
So the lens has 5.5 stops Image Stabiliser. Okay. That's using it on its own. Putting it on something like an R3, the R5 or the R6, so any of the EOS R camera bodies with IBIS, you get up to 6 stops. Nice. That basically means you can use it easily handheld, not just for doing stills, even for video. If you're shooting video. Yes, there are probably scenarios where the use of a monopod in particular might help you, like in panning, for example. So it can be useful, but because of the weight of this lens, and as I said, because it's well balanced, you can use it handheld, meaning the 5.5 stops IS actually can make a massive difference.
You've also got it partnered up with the EOS R3, which is your flagship camera there, and it will fire so quickly and take action shots really well. So can the lens keep up with the performance of these cameras now? Definitely.
I mean, this combination is probably the perfect one anyone would dream of with this lens and the R3. The lens does actually deliver extremely fast autofocus, and that's thanks to the dual Nano USM in this lens. It's basically these Nano USM motors driving these floating groups inside the lens, to make sure that we get that very responsive and fast autofocus, reliable autofocus as well. When you're dealing with action shots, you miss the action, you can't go back. And this lens can deliver on that, be it on the R3, but also if being used on the R7, the R5, or the R6 Mark II as well.
Design-wise, it's an L series, so it's going to be weather sealed, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It's an internal zoom?
Yes, I mean, as is the case with all the zoom super teles, like was said with the 200-400, yes, the zoom is internal. It does benefit from the same weather sealing, the same as all the L series super tele lenses as well. And again, it benefits from that white coat heat shield, which means if you're using this lens somewhere where it's extremely hot, the internal lens elements are protected, so it doesn't affect the performance of the lens.
You've also got the customization buttons all over here.
Yes.
Ring features. Is there extras? There is more?
So you have 4 lens function buttons at the front of the lens. These are, I think, loads of people, they'll call them AF stop buttons because we've had them on so many lenses. By default, they pause the autofocus. So on the top of the 4 we have at the front, there is an additional one right at the back. The purpose of that is you can use it with the same hand that you're actually using to operate and hold the camera. Again, by default, this is the same as those, so it is an AF stop button. But you can customize it depending on this switch that we have here. So we have LFN, which is the lens function button. So that's if you want to use it as an AF stop button, or you want to customize it for other features. So you do that via the camera. So you leave it at that. Or if you want to use it for AF preset and recall, then you just basically move that. Then you press it, you register the focus area that you want to focus on, and then you recall it later if you're moving from one place to another. We also have the control ring, which is now is becoming the norm with the RF lenses. Again, same as with the other lenses, it is customizable, so you can actually assign it to change your shutter speed, ISO, white balance. For those that might want to use this lens for video, you can actually have it declicked, because obviously when you change in the setting, you can hear this. And for video, the mic will pick up that. Having it declicked by the service center means that it is quieter. It will still work the same way, just no noise when you're actually changing the setting.
Looking at it with that custom button at the back there, obviously there's no drop-in filter slot.
Yes, so to keep the lens smaller and lighter, but also to bring the lens elements closer to the sensor and maintain that high quality throughout the zoom range, we basically removed the drop-in filter, which means for those that might need to use one, you can put basically one at the front, is a 112mm filter.
In your hands attached to the R3, you know, it does look a considerably large lens, I suppose, to some degree, but when you think about it being a 100-300mm and an f2.8, that is ridiculously small.
It is. I mean, for a zoom lens, as you said, and for an L series zoom lens, the fact that it's 2.8, I mean, if we made this lens as EF years ago, it would have been much bigger and heavier.
So weight-wise, what are we looking at weight-wise?
So this weighs 2.59 kilograms. It is basically about 190 grams heavier than the EF 300 2.8, which once you have it on a camera, and as I said, on your hands, you can't actually feel that weight difference. And thanks to the RF design, it is well balanced, so it actually feels lighter than what it is. Lighter than those, actually, they'll probably use the 200-400. It's almost a kilogram lighter than the 200-400, which again. So yeah, definitely manageable handheld. But yeah, you do have that flexibility if you want to use monopod or a tripod, especially once you start adding extenders, it might help.
No, that's really interesting, and it looks like an awesome bit of kit. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it once again. And yeah, if you'd like any more information, please check out the link below or pop into your local London Camera Exchange.